Mia had always heard the rumors about the old McDonald's at the edge of town. Whispers of strange occurrences and eerie happenings circulated among the employees. But Mia, a college student working the graveyard shift, dismissed them as mere stories. After all, how haunted could a fast food joint really be? It was a stormy night, the kind where the wind howled through the cracks of the building and the rain pounded against the windows. Mia, alongside her co-worker David, was preparing for another quiet night. The usual customers, late-night travelers and teenagers looking for a quick bite had dwindled to none as the weather worsened. Around midnight, the power flickered, plunging the restaurant into darkness for a moment before the backup generator kicked in. The fluorescent lights buzzed back to life, but something felt off. Mia couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. "Did you hear that?" David asked, breaking the silence. Mia strained to listen, but all she could hear was the rain. Hear what? It sounded like laughter from the play area. Mia rolled her eyes. "Very funny, David, cut it out." David's face was pale, his usual playful demeanor replaced by genuine fear. "I'm not joking, Mia." Reluctantly, Mia grabbed a flashlight and headed towards the play area. The dim light from the flashlight cut through the shadows, revealing the colorful yet eerie structures of the indoor playground. Everything seemed normal until she heard it, a faint giggle echoing from the ball pit. "Hello," Mia called out, her voice trembling slightly. "Is someone there?" The giggle grew louder, followed by the sound of plastic balls shifting. Mia's heart raced as she approached the ball pit. The balls parted as if something or someone was moving underneath. She aimed the flashlight at the pit, but it was too deep to see the bottom. Suddenly, a child's face popped up from the balls. It was pale, almost ghostly, with hollow eyes and a twisted grin. Mia stumbled back, dropping the flashlight. The light spun wildly, casting unsettling shadows on the walls. "Mia, get out of there!" David shouted from the doorway, his voice barely audible over the storm. She scrambled to her feet and ran back to the counter, her breath coming in ragged gasps. "Did you see that?" David nodded, his face ashen. "We need to leave, now!" As they made their way to the exit, the lights flickered again. The restaurant's speakers crackled to life, playing the jingle from an old McDonald's commercial. The cheerful tune echoed through the empty space, making their skin crawl. The doors wouldn't budge. It was as if they were locked from the outside. Panic set in as they realized they were trapped. "Let's try the kitchen," David suggested, his voice shaking. They rushed to the kitchen, only to find the deep fryers bubbling with a foul black substance. The smell was overwhelming, a mix of rot and decay. Mia gagged, covering her nose. "Look," David pointed to the grill. On the grill, patties sizzled and hissed, but they were not the usual beef patties. These were grotesque, misshapen forms that seemed to pulse and writhe. The overhead lights cast eerie shadows on the walls, and the temperature in the kitchen dropped suddenly. "Help us!" a whisper echoed through the room, making their blood run cold. They turned to see ghostly figures of children standing at the edge of the kitchen, their eyes pleading. These were the souls of those who had disappeared over the years, trapped in the restaurant, seeking release. Mia felt a pang of sorrow. "We need to find a way out," she whispered urgently. David nodded, and they made their way to the storage room, hoping to find an emergency exit. The room was cold and dark, filled with shelves of supplies. In the corner, they found a door marked Emergency Exit. As they reached for the handle, the door swung open on its own, revealing a dark, narrow staircase leading down into the depths of the building. "Do we have a choice?" Mia asked, her voice trembling. David shook his head. "It's either this or stay here with them." They descended the staircase, the air growing colder with each step. The sound of the storm above faded, replaced by an eerie silence. At the bottom, they found themselves in a long, dimly lit hallway. The walls were lined with old photos of the restaurant's early days. In each photo, the same grinning clown figure appeared, its eyes following them as they walked. The hallway seemed to stretch on forever, a maze with no end in sight. Finally, they reached a door marked Exit. Relief washed over them as they pushed it open, only to be met with a blinding light. When their eyes adjusted, they found themselves back in the restaurant, standing in front of the counter. "No, this can't be happening," Mia whispered, tears streaming down her face. The ghostly children reappeared, surrounding them. "Free us," they whispered in unison, their voices echoing in the empty space. Desperate, Mia and David searched the restaurant for anything that could help. In the manager's office, they found an old ledger detailing the history of the building. It spoke of a curse placed on the land, binding the souls of those who perished there. "We have to break the curse," David said, his voice determined. They followed the instructions in the ledger, performing a ritual in the center of the restaurant. As they completed the final step, the lights flickered violently, and a deep, guttural growl reverberated through the building. The temperature dropped even further as shadows began to coalesce in the corners of the room, forming a towering, dark figure with burning red eyes. It was the embodiment of the curse, a malevolent spirit feeding on the fear and pain of the trapped souls. "Your efforts are futile," it hissed, its voice echoing through their minds. "You will join them." David and Mia stood frozen in terror as the spirit advanced, its presence overwhelming. The ghostly children reappeared, their faces twisted in agony, silently pleading for release. Mia, tears streaming down her face, held David's hand tightly. "We can't let it win," she whispered, her voice trembling but resolute. "We have to fight." Drawing strength from each other, they resumed the ritual, chanting the incantations with renewed fervor. The spirit roared in anger, the walls shaking and the ground trembling beneath them. As they reached the final incantation, a blinding light erupted from the center of the room, engulfing the spirit. It screamed in rage and pain, its form disintegrating into wisps of smoke that were sucked into the light. The ghostly children began to fade, their expressions softening as they were finally freed from their torment. "Thank you," their voices echoed, filled with gratitude and relief. The light dimmed and silence fell over the restaurant. Mia and David stood in the center, exhausted but victorious. The oppressive atmosphere lifted, replaced by an eerie calm. The storm had passed, and the first light of dawn peeked through the windows. The doors unlocked, and they stumbled outside, grateful to be free. As they walked away from the old McDonald's, Mia glanced back one last time. The building stood silent and empty, a testament to the horrors that had transpired within. Though the spirits were freed and the curse broken, she knew the memories of that night would haunt them forever. Mia and David, forever bonded by the harrowing experience, vowed to ensure no one would ever suffer the same fate. They shared their story, raising awareness and transforming the old restaurant into a memorial for the lost souls, a reminder of the power of resilience and the unbreakable strength of the human spirit.